Hey everyone, I'm a little bit late. I'm 3 minutes late. I literally just finished eating right now. So, welcome to Inside the Mind of RLQ episode number 4. This is this is my first time doing live for this series. I don't know if you've checked it yet or if you've um, visited my channel before and you've watched Inside the Mind of RLQ episode number 1, 2, or 3. But the series is about um, the quotes that I write and what went through my mind as I was writing them. Um, hey, Shell, you're the first one here. How are you doing? Is Bean asleep? Because I know he takes his naps like around this time, right? So, hey, everyone's coming in now. I know Shell's here. I can only see one chat, but feel free to make a chat. There's not going to be that many people at the beginning. So, hey, Sai, you made it. Good morning. How are you doing? Yeah, it's definitely not going to be like my Facebook lives, but this will give me a chance to, talk to you as I talk. So, he's getting ready to slowly dose off. That's hilarious. But yeah, so this series is about me talking about the quotes that I write, what was going through my mind, and it was something I really wanted to do right before, because when I write it and I post it, um, everyone's perspective of the quote is different, right? So this is a great way for me to tell you what my perspective was, what I went through on my journey, and how it became the quote, right? Because there is a meaning behind most of my quotes that I write, because I want to relate it to as much as possible to my story, right? My journey, so that you would get a sense of how I was able to come from a very dark place and how I was able to find my joy and happiness again. So this is what this series is about. So Maria, hey Maria, how are you doing? You made it. Thank you. Feli, is it Feli or it's Feli, right? Hi, I'm your avid supporter from Philippines. Thank you so much for showing up, Feli. Vivian, good morning, Vivian. How are you doing? Tracy, hey Tracy. Farhana, you made it. Oh, I'm so happy to see you guys here. I mean, like, it's definitely not the Facebook Live, right? So I'm really I'm so happy that you guys have been supporting me and coming to my YouTube lives, because the experience is different, right? And plus I'm indoors. I'm not wearing my sunglasses, so you get to see me, my natural face with, and hey, Mary Meeks, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I just actually finished eating dinner and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to rush. It was like 9:31 and I just finished my pizza and I was like, oh, I have to go. I have to go. So I am here and thank you so much for coming, guys. Um, Happy Friday, everyone. Can you believe it's already the weekend, guys? I mean, it's been a week already since my birthday, and when we were celebrating my million followers, and it was a week ago since I cried. So yeah, if you watch my live, hey Christina, how are you doing? Happy to see you again. Sending love and hugs to you too. Sending loves to you too. It is in the morning there in the Philippines. I'm correct, right? I think it's 9:30 in the morning for you guys. Um, for Hana, preparing breakfast. Seeing you soon, Roger. What are you having for Hana? Can I have some? I know I just had pizza, but I'm hungry. Eating breakfast here while watching your live. Amazing. What are you having for breakfast? Breakfast is such an important meal, right, guys? For but sometimes, like sometimes I actually sleep when breakfast comes. So, but I do make sure I eat something before I go to bed, because one of the worst things to do is trying to sleep on an empty stomach, right? Um, who else is here? Oh, by the way, if I did drop a link for my ebook, so if you haven't downloaded it yet and you didn't watch my other live, I did put the link for my ebook. So I don't know if you can see it now, but later on you can just check in the description below, and then you can grab your free copy of the RLQ ebook. It does have the 75 quotes, and I know for Hana and Shell, I think most of you guys here, Sai, you guys have. Hey Vivian, how are you doing? I said hello to you, right, Vivian, already? Just in case. And you can download on your phone, you can download on your laptop, and then you can just bring it everywhere you go. And yeah, I mean they're great reminders, right? And another great reminder is actually yes, I've got your ebook. Okay, great, perfect. Is that okay? So today's special live stream of Inside the Mind of RLQ. Can you guys hear me okay? Because this time I actually remembered to turn on my microphone, so I'm pretty sure you guys can hear. Christina, watching you for my work. Oh, that's awesome. Are you wait, it's the weekend. You're working on the weekend, huh? Don't forget to rest, huh, this weekend. It's really important, but work hard, work hard. Thank you so much for watching while you're working. Helen, how are you doing, Helen? Okay, perfect, great. I hope it's not too loud. I have this thing set up so it's loud so you guys don't miss what I'm saying. But today's quote that I'm going to be talking about, I actually printed it and I've actually printed it and it's on the frame. Oh, you can see my light. So today's quote is: the more you focus on what you want in your life, the faster it will become your reality. Oh, you can see my ring light. So I actually printed this at home and I framed it. And as you know, I am starting to do my digital prints, and you can purchase them as well. That's just one of my projects I'm doing. But let me put this back. So this quote is, hey Tracy, I keep booting myself out. What happened? Are you pressing the X? Oh wow, nice message. Thank you so much, Maria. That is, I am reading ebook before go to bed at night and before I wake up from it. Farhana, that is such an important thing to do, especially to remind yourself of certain things, right? So because sometimes we go to bed and then we just kind of like backtrack what happened during the day, and then we just we start thinking, and sometimes it's like negative thoughts, right? And you carry it over, so when you wake up in the morning you just have that feeling like, oh man, here it goes again, here goes another day, right? But if you could read these quotes before you go to bed and just remind yourself that, hey, you know what, tomorrow might not be a bad day. Maybe I'm just creating all of this, right? And this has a lot to do with this quote over here, right? But focusing what you want in your life so that you can sort of become your reality faster, right? So if you're going to sleep and you're thinking of all these thoughts and maybe they're not positive things, then obviously when you wake up in the morning, you're not going to feel so great, right? Because the night before, you've already created your tomorrows, right? So this is all a part of you focusing on what you want in your life to become a reality. So if you want to try something new, like what Farhan is doing, right? Helen, I just saw your ebook. Ebook is really well done. Thank you so much. It doesn't have the graphics. This is the light version. But sometimes it's nice to read it when it's simplified, where it's just a clean background with just the quotes, because the most important thing is the message, right? The graphics, when I put them together, they do look nice together, but the important thing is just reading the message and try to get it into your mindset, and try to retrain the way you think, right? And that's the whole thing, what Farhana was saying about reading the ebook before she goes to bed. And that's going to refresh your mind. That's just going to give you that little bit of positive information, so that when you wake up, you can remember, hey, you know what? I remember last night before I went to bed, it told me to do so and so and so and so that when you wake up, you can start off the day fresh, and then you can start off with a positive mindset, right? That is the goal, right? And it's hard. It's hard, especially if you're going through like a really dark time and you just don't have that energy or you don't feel like you have the strength to move forward, right? And that's the whole process of what I had to go through, and I had to try to figure out for myself, the process of telling myself and convincing myself that life isn't bad, right? It's all, I mean, you have the choice every single day to make that decision to change your life. And that's why I try to promote as much as possible that you can change your life by the way you think up here, right? And this is all has to do with your focus, right? You guys know that I talk about focus a lot, right? I thought about doing that, about reading the quotes before you go to bed. It really, really does help. It really does. Makes a great coffee table book. It would. You know what, Helen? You could actually print it, the whole entire thing out, and then you can create your own physical book, right? I think one of the things that I really want to do is actually make a hard copy book, and then so it'd be nice, right, to have like a RLQ hard copy book on your coffee table, so that you could drink your my favorite. I can't wait to have my coffee after this, and read the quotes, and and have your coffee, or even just talk to someone and share the quote, whatever the case may be. But it's like relaxing and stuff, right? Oh, reading before bed. Yes, exactly. It's very important. You should try it, Tracy. You'll definitely feel a big difference. Because I remember when I was like lying on the couch, and everything was just really dark, And I tried listening to music and like, but the thing was now this is the whole thing about focus, right? When you don't have focus, a lot of the things, no matter how hard you try, it's just going to go through one ear and out the other, right? Or it just basically you can see it for a moment, but it quickly vanishes. It's because you don't have the focus there. So the reason why my basement story is so important, this is what really started me in my healing process when I was going through my anxiety and depression. It wasn't the focus, because I wasn't sure what I needed to do to start, but it was the determination. So before you actually start focusing, you have to have some sort of determination, right? How determined are you, and how much are you willing to do to get to from point A to point B, right? So just say your point B, that destination that you want to get to is your joy and happiness. What are the steps that you are going to have to do to get there, right? So if you start with yourself and you tell yourself, okay, today I'm telling myself that nothing is going to stop me from getting to my joy and happiness, right? And you just have to live in that. You have to become that, that positive energy, right? That you have to have that willpower, right? So then that's when the focus kicks in, because once you start learning how to focus, right? Then that goal, that destination starts to become more clear, because as you're thinking negative every single day, that vision of you being happy will not exist no matter how hard you try, right? So I didn't realize all of this until I actually went down to my basement, because I was determined at that point, because I was like, hey Roger, I don't want to live waking up every single morning thinking that my life is horrible. I don't want to wake up in the morning and tell myself that the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wake up is like I'm gonna cry. Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start pacing around the house. And the third thing I'm going to do is that I just want the day to end. Right. And I told you before, when you have anxiety and depression, those days, they seem like they're like a week long. So it's not 24 hours. It's like every day seems like it's 300 hours long. And it's because you're bored. You just don't really care much about life anymore, because you're so disappointed in yourself, and you just feel like the world is a bad place to live in. Right. So I had to convince myself and tell myself that, what, everything I'm thinking about right now, about, my perspective about life, my perspective about myself, is all wrong. Everything I'm thinking about is completely, entirely all wrong. Right. And that came after when I started to learn how to focus from the basement. That's when I started to get more. I realized that, once I was like basically like laser focused into cleaning the basement, because cleaning the basement was my main focus, right? The only thing I really wanted to do when I woke up in the morning, I went straight downstairs, and I knew I had to go downstairs and I had to clean up for at least 10 hours, okay, and do as much as I could get done. But as the days passed, because it did take me 3.5 weeks to do. And I wasn't randomly cleaning it up, right? I wasn't just like, okay, well, this is garbage, just threw everything in the garbage bag and pushed everything under a table and stuff. No, I actually, like, I spent like my like every second like making sure that this had to go in a specific place. Like I learned how to organize too, right? Because there was so much stuff. So I pull stuff out of the shelf and then I put them in, and sometimes I did it by color or by alphabetical order, and that's all a part of just retuning your mindset and learning how to organize things. Because you guys heard about, hey David, how are you doing? Thanks for joining my live. I see you. Joanne, you made it. I'm doing great. Mary, I would love it. So I am talking about my basement story again, because I'm talking about focus, because for anyone that just joined me, I'm talking about the quote: "The more you focus on what you want in your life, the faster will become your reality." Right. So I'm talking about focus right now because it is really, really, really important. And so as I was cleaning the basement, as each day passed, right? I was thinking I wasn't thinking too much of it, but I was like, wait, where's my sensation? Because I kept thinking about my sensation from my concussion, right? I kept thinking about like every day I would have like 50 negative thoughts. But then as each day passed by, it was like it went to like 50 to 49 to 48 to 47. So I was doing something right. And I hadn't felt like that in such a long time. Like I was actually accomplishing something, that I felt like I was doing something positive, right? Because every day I woke up and I just felt like I was just basically my body and my breath. That's like, and that no emotions. Like I didn't really care about anything. I hated people. I just hated everything about life, right? But once I started cleaning up the basement, and my mind started to become more clear. I started to be more in tune of what I really wanted to do and how I wanted to get to that destination where I want to be happy and have my joy again, right? Because I you know what, it was really tough thinking about my kids every single day. Wait, Sai, I am so happy because your quote made me a different person now. It gives me courage to be able to communicate other people now, and that's my greatest achievement in life. That means so much to me, Sai. Man, it really does. I love seeing positive changes in people. I love to hear that my quotes and my videos and my podcasts have been able to help you realize that, like, because at one point in your life, you're telling yourself, hey, you know what? I'm gonna be like this forever. I don't see myself being a better version of myself, right? But when you start to realize that you can actually make those changes, right? That you actually have the power to manifest, these beautiful things in life, that you have this control. I think the important thing is that you have the control, because a lot of people, they just kind of let their mind wander and they just listen to what their mind tells you. But once you start to have that control, and that also has to do with focus too, right? Because once you have more clarity, then you're going to have a better grab onto your positive thoughts. You can actually pull your positive thoughts instead of, you know um, allowing your negative thoughts to control your life, right? So the goal here is not to let those thoughts attack you on a daily basis. And you want to be able to say, hey, move out of the way, because there's a whole bunch of positive thoughts behind these negative thoughts, and I want to pull them into my life, pull them into my mind, right? So that you can start becoming positive again, right? Connie, just feeling like you just existed. Hey, Connie, thanks for joining. David Hudson, I'm good, thank you. How was your week? It was really busy. Yeah, I wanted to actually do this live on Wednesday, but I had too much stuff to do. But I knew that you know what time I woke up today? I woke up at like 5 p.m. and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do a live today. So I quickly had to like prepare this whole thing, and I'm glad I got to do this, because I didn't want to push it any further, because I really wanted to, communicate with you guys, because the one thing that I love to do is doing live streams and talking to you guys. um, Joanne, I've been sharing a lot of your quotes recently because they've been getting me through each day. I'm so glad that they do, and thank you so much for sharing, Joanne. It really really helps me, helps you, helps your friends and family, whoever you're sharing it to, because sharing is caring, and I'm sure we all know people out there that are going through a tough time too. And sometimes they just need to hear the right words, right? Sometimes it's just like, and I say this a lot, like, when you're alone and you're thinking, man, I'm just waiting for that right sentence. I'm just waiting for someone to come to me and say, you know what, hey, everything's gonna be okay. This is what you need to do in your life, and these are the changes you have to do. And I'm glad that my quotes can do that, and hopefully it feels like it's me talking to you, right? Like when you open your Facebook page and you read my quote and you say, oh, it's Roger. Oh, he's it's almost like a text message, right? But my quotes it's like a quote form. So it's like, oh, Roger texted me this morning. He said, oh, today you can change your life, and today's going to be an amazing day. It's like, if you put that in your mindset, I mean, that could make a difference, right? It's like, I played a lot of tricks with my mind, and that's why I say your mind matters, because if you're able to do that, and be the boss of your own life and be the boss of your thoughts, then you will feel like you can do anything, right? You won't, like, when before you could probably tell yourself, it's impossible to do. But once you have that more confidence in yourself, and you start believing in yourself more, and you start to overcome like really tough challenges, I'm telling you, man, you're gonna feel like, bring it on. Like, basically, you tell yourself, bring it on. What's the next challenge? I'm ready. I'm ready for it, right? Connie, I love your quotes and your lives. They're helping me so much. Thank you. You're very, very welcome, Connie. And I'm so glad you made it. Hey Joanne, your mind does play tricks. It does. Oh man, my mind, like seriously, like when I was going through my anxiety and depression, like my mind was like this bad version of me, right? It was like the I don't know why, but it just felt like it wasn't even me. Like I was doing like these really weird things. Like I was talking to myself, and I was like these even my gestures and the way I moved and the way I walked. It just wasn't me. So it felt like I was being possessed. Honestly, it just felt like it was. I was so disgusted at myself, right? And then I had to basically tell myself, hey, you know what? That is just my mind is another person. It's not me. It's not who I want to be. So that's how I was able to, like whenever I heard something like, oh, your life sucks, or you're not gonna be able to achieve anything in life and stuff. And then that's when I said, you know what? I don't have to listen to you. All right. I've got bigger plans because I know that I can achieve greatness, right? I can achieve greatness. And I stopped listening to that bad version of myself, and the more I did that, the more I realized that I was starting to take control of my life. I was able to direct myself to tell me which path I wanted to take to. I didn't have to follow that dark path, which seemed like that's the path I was heading because I was taking 4 pills a day, right? And I was crying every day, and I just couldn't see the light. I couldn't even feel the light. Even when my mom was there, my brother was there, my kids, I mean, everyone was there around me, but it just felt like I was still alone. I was the only one in the world that was feeling this way. I was the only one in the world that was asking why me, but it's not. There are so many people out there that are feeling the exact same way. And some of you that are watching my live right now may be feeling like this. Okay, I'm just gonna read the chat a little bit. Mine. Michelle says, finding my self-esteem and confidence gave me a newfound freedom. It definitely did. It helped me, and I know it did for you too as well, Shell. David, Joanne, I was just talking about how you mind us wanders away in dreams. Oh, okay. So you were talking to Joanne. Rita, hi Rita. How are you doing, Roger Lee? I do not think you sleep much because you are always on when I am on all hours of the day and night. You know what? I probably get 6 hours of sleep, I think. But sometimes I take 5 hours of sleep and I know my body, right? So I'll be awake for 5 hours and if I know I need that extra 2 hours, I will take my naps. And that's why you saw me a lot with my sunglasses on. Because I had all these like bags and wrinkles, and it was just because I was just working so hard. Because I love to work. I love to help people, and I just can't go to bed until I tell myself that I've done enough for the day, right? And then from my previous lives, I've been telling you about the exercise, right? Before you go to bed, ask yourself, did I do enough, right? Did I do enough today? So that when you wake up in the morning, you could be like, man, yesterday was an amazing day. I accomplished this. I did all these things. I feel so confident in myself, right? Because think about it, right? We just say we all have like 80 years to live, right? Like 1/3 of that entire time that you're alive, you're sleeping. All right. So you really are only to have like 2/3. And a portion of that is you actually sitting down, right? So half of your life you're sitting down or you're sleeping. So you have to think about that, right? I know, like, even if you're thinking 80 years is a long way to go, but that means that you have that much more time. If you're aware of that, that every single day you have to take the opportunity to work on a better version of yourself. Because the more you work on a better version of yourself and the more you focus on the things you want in your life, like my quote says, the faster they are going to become your reality, right? If I hadn't had done this, I would still be lying on the couch right now, crying my eyes out and telling myself that I have no life, right? But I made the decision to change my life because I saw myself. When I started to learn how to focus, I saw a version of myself smiling again, spending quality time with my family, doing the things I love to do, which is singing and helping people, and just laughing with my wife, laughing with my kids, seeing my mother happy, smiling, all that kind of stuff. Like it started to become, I could start to, the more I started working myself, right? Every single day. Even if those steps didn't seem like not anything happened that day, but I knew that one day eventually, even if those little steps were tiny steps, that one day I'm going to get there. So it taught me a lot about patience, right? And this is something that if you are going through right now and you're feeling something told me to come in this room tonight. I'm listening, Joanna. I was just talking about sleeping. Okay, so you're having a conversation. Don't worry, you still look awesome while talking to us. Thank you so much, Sai. Thank you. I think it's the lighting that makes me look like I have a tan. I was trying so hard to get a tan this summer, but we didn't have a lot of sunny days. So one day I'm gonna go visit those hot places like Australia, Florida, or California. I want to get a real tan, and Hawaii for sure, Hawaii. But anyways, so as I was saying, so like if you can just you know do those small exercises, right? Because you have to work from up here first, and it's all about reprogramming, right? So you may have like an old program that's written up here, right? And it's all the things that maybe the things that you have done in the past that is still that you're still thinking about all the time, or maybe it's even the things that you're listening to, like the news, the content that you choose to watch on YouTube, or the books that you read, the movies you watch. I mean, that is all information that you are still absorbing, right? So for me, I don't watch the news at all. There's only a few things I do is I watch the Toronto Raptors basketball, and and anything that just can help motivate me, anything that's positive, that's going to help me, change the way I think, right? So remember, everything you read, everything you listen to, you're absorbing it. You're absorbing it. And that is going to help, that is going to create the world that you're going to see for your future, right? So if you start knocking down all the things like, okay, maybe I've been spending too much time watching like horror movies, or reading bad romance novels, or I'm listening to the news too much because all these terrible things are happening in the world. I know there's a lot of things happening in the world, but it's your choice not to listen to it, right? You have to start like fixing up here so that you don't have to, because if it's a negative energy, then it's going to create negative thoughts for you, right? And so you want to change that. And I had to reverse all of that. I had to like basically everything I was thinking of was negative. So I had to change all of it slowly, right? Bit by bit, so that my negative thoughts would be taken over from my positive thoughts, because my positive thoughts were going to be so much more powerful, right? So whenever I am daydreaming, just say, or my thoughts are wandering, then a positive thought would come in first and not the negative thought, right? Tracy, meeting you and reading your quotes made a difference. Oh, thank you so much, Tracy. And it really means so much when because when I first started, I really didn't know how much of an impact my quotes would write. I mean, would uh what was I trying to say? How much of an impact my quotes would do to the people that read them, right? Because when I first started, I thought it was just writing a quote. Someone would just read it and then they would just go on to the next thing. But when I hear people saying that it actually change their life, that they actually can start to feel that they are a better version of themselves, and they sense it, and they know that they can achieve greatness. I mean, that is just, it just tells me that like all the hard work that I poured into doing what I do, and also not giving up, because remember I almost gave up at one point. Well, I just said, I think this is the wrong choice. I'm just going to stop writing. And I did. I stopped writing for 3 months until one day I just told myself, hey, you know what, Roger, what are you doing, man? Like, you have this great story to tell. Like you've been working so hard on your quotes, and even though you don't get like 5 likes per day, or you're not really reaching the world as you wanted to, you just have to keep going, because you just never know how far you're going to go, right? And luckily I continue to do that, because if I didn't, then I wouldn't be here meeting in this chat with you guys now, helping as many people as I possibly could, and that's why it means so much. So thank you so much, guys, for, I mean, just being there. It, like, that's why I think one of the reasons why I cried that stream on my birthday because it reminded me of because I read a lot of stories. I mean, I read a lot of like when people message me or even when they leave a comment on my post, they tell me about what's going on in their life. And sometimes some of the stories that I hear, it makes me think like I wish I was really physically there so that I can actually be in the room with that person and just be able to talk to them or just even give them a hug. Because sometimes a hug can do so much, right? And I compare to my life, and I'm just like, my life is like nothing compared to how bad like their life is, right? They're going through a lot right now, and it means so much to me that I'm a part of that journey to help you, try to find in trying to find your joy and happiness again. Um, have you got anything great planned for Thanksgiving? We don't do it over here in the UK, but it's always nice to know what Americans have. Is that for me, David, or you're talking to Joanne? But we had our Thanksgiving. We had our Thanksgiving in October, and I know in the US you guys are celebrating Thanksgiving. I don't know what the exact date is, but I think it's Thanksgiving weekend for you guys. So make sure you have a great meal because I think I had two turkeys for Thanksgiving, so we were like stuffed. Connie, I share all your quotes and people say that needed to read that today. I actually got a couple of those today, Connie. They were just like, I think it was the quote I posted today, and they're just like, thank you so much. This is exactly what I needed to hear today. And just hearing that, it's like, oh man, I'm so glad that I was able to, be a part of that, that you can read something and then it can kind of like give you that little spark and just remind you. You need, like, we constantly need those reminders, right, guys? Like constantly, just to because we're so busy doing, our daily things that we just don't have enough time to think about, hey, you know what, stay strong, you got this, or today's gonna be an amazing day, don't worry about it, stop thinking that, like all these things, right? So download my ebook. My ebook is right there on the link in the description, and then like do what Farhana does. Open it up in the morning, open it up before you go to sleep, and just read it. Because when I was reading quotes during my healing process, I told you guys, right? I read it 4 to 5 hours a day, sitting there like just scrolling, going through Pinterest or whatever, wherever it is, and I was just collecting them and reading them over and over and over again because I knew the one way that I had to retrain my thought process was to read these positive things, these affirmations, so that I can start automatically, you know, like if I woke up in the morning, I said, "Oh, today's gonna be a bad day." This quote would instantly pop up, and I say, "Oh, wait a second! I remember I read something yesterday that said, don't think about your negative thoughts. Focus on thinking about the positive ones." Something like that, right? And these are those little things that you need to do, right? If you are trying to figure out how do I start loving myself? How do I start believing in myself? How do I learn how to focus? This is part of it. These are the little steps that you need to take to get you on that path, to your joy and happiness. Joanne, that's what I need to hear today. Oh, I say I got it. Yeah. So, I mean, this quote is I mean, this quote actually, when I first posted it, I think it went over like 200,000 likes or something like that. So I know that a lot of this one really hits a lot of people in here because they probably realized, so as did I, that I wasn't focusing enough on what I really wanted in my life. I was focusing on what I didn't want in my life. Like I was telling myself that my life sucked, that I will never see my happiness again, that I will never be successful, right? So what am I doing there? I might be thinking about it, right? But I'm also creating it at the same time. And that's why every single day when I woke up, it was a bad day because I was creating a dark and bad world for myself to live in. So when I started to focus on where I wanted to go and how I wanted to be happy and how I wanted to be successful and how I wanted to change my life, the more I focused on those things, the positive things, I started to see that it was starting to become real for me, right? So that is all a part of manifesting, great things to happen, right? So remember, we are all connected to the universe, and the universe is constantly, pouring out this energy and information to you. But if all you're doing is focusing on negative energy and negative thoughts, even if the universe is here handing it out to you and saying, okay, here is your happiness, here is your joy, you know, here's your success, here is your inner peace. You've already created this wall in front of you, right? That's like, I don't know how thick it is or how high it is, and this energy that the universe is sending you is not going to get through, right? So you need to open the gates for the universe to receive the energy from the universe, the positive energy, right? So the more you focus on those positive things in your life, the faster those gates are going to open, because it's sitting right there. You know, the positive energy is just waiting to for you to absorb, right? And once that gate starts to open up, right, this energy is just going to come in, and you're gonna start glowing in it. You're gonna see how amazing life is, you know, how beautiful the world is, you know, how beautiful people can be, right? Like 4 years ago, the way I think and my perspective about life and everything is complete opposite. Like if you went back in time and I was sitting here talking to you, you'd be like, this guy needs help, right? A huge difference from someone that hates themselves to someone that loves themselves, right? I like the Gymshark t-shirt. Thank you. Oh, this is one of my favorite shirts, actually. So this brand, I'm not being sponsored by it, but anyway, but you know, I wear this brand a lot. But one of the things I did when I started to focus was I wanted to start to work out again, right? Because you know, I talk a lot about working out and exercising is all part of like strengthening your mindset as well, right? Because once you start strengthening your body, you know, your mind is going to get stronger too, right? You're going to feel more confident about yourself. You're going to feel like you can achieve more, you can do more things, you know. And this brand, I started to wear during that healing process, and it reminds me, you know, when I slap on the shirt, I'm like, it's like Jim Shark, right? So it's like, and this one here has big huge bold letter. It reminds me like, hey Roger, you know what, you got this, man. You're going to do amazing things today. And I know it's just a shirt, but even a shirt, when you put on, if you feel really really good wearing it, right? I mean, this shirt cost me $12. Okay, it's not expensive. I mean, I got it on sale, but still, like, you don't have to wear like $150 t-shirt for you to feel like it's your joy and happiness. Okay, you know, it's just whatever you feel that, you know, it makes you feel like you're in a positive place, and this brand actually does. So they are having a Black Friday sale. So if you are interested in buying your own Gymshark, they have a lot. If you're female and you want, they have amazing gym clothes, right? If you want to get started to do exercise, you can actually go there. It's like up to 60% off or something like that, you know. So check it out. It's Gymshark. Gymshark. Hey Roger, I'm just asking a quick question. Are you a religious person? You know what? I am not. When as I was growing up, my mom actually always talked about God, always talked about Jesus, right? But I don't have a specific religion that I follow, but I know, like, I believe in Jesus, I believe in God, and I know that they were there during my dark times, and even through my whole life, they've been there, right? But I didn't really realize how much they were there for me, you know, until I went through that really dark period, right? You know, I told you about my miracle. If some of you, oh, thank you so much, Joanne, thank you so much. There was that I have a video on YouTube about that miracles, right? But there was one time I left my house, right? I was so sad. I was basically telling myself that I give up. You know, I don't know what's the point anymore. So I decided to pack my bags. I put I think it was two bottles of water. I had like 75, $76 of cash. I brought an umbrella with me. I brought my contact lenses, and I basically, without saying goodbye, I don't know, I can't remember who was actually home, but without saying goodbye, I walked out the door and I just started walking, right? And there was two streets I could take. One was like Bathurst and one was like Yonge Street, but I decided to take Yonge Street because I knew that if I got thirsty or if I needed to use the washroom or toilet, I could walk into like a Tim Hortons or a McDonald's or something, right? So I took that way. But my goal that day was just to keep walking until I collapsed, right? Basically, I said goodbye to my family without saying goodbye. I just said, I'm tired of life. I'm sick. I'm just going to wait till I collapse and then we'll see what happens, you know, when I collapsed, right? So I started walking, and the walk was over 4 hours. Okay, just walking straight down Young Street, and then there was this intersection, right? And it was where my sister lived. Okay. So and right before I hit that intersection, right? I and right before, I mean, even 15, 20 minutes before I hit that intersection, I looked up and I said, God, if I have a reason, if there is something special that's supposed to happen to me, or if I have a purpose in life, then send me a sign because this is the best time to send it to me. Right. And I was just like, okay, well, whatever. So I started walking, and before I actually hit that intersection, right, I had to decide, should I actually turn right, right, and go to my sister's house, or should I continue going straight and just wait till I collapse, right? So just as I was about to cross the street, because I had decided that, you know what, I'm just going to go straight, this car passes by, the window opens, and my sister says, Roger, what are you doing here? And I just, my jaw opened. I was like, what are you doing here? Like, how in the world is it that you were actually there at that specific time, at that exact moment, right, to save me? Because like, I will always remember that day. And my sister and my brother-in-law were there at the exact moment, and they basically saved me that day. And that was the sign I got from God, the miracle that happened. And right when she goes, I'm going to take you home. Thank you, Melina. That's my sister, and Brian, my brother-in-law. And as she was driving me home, back home, that's when I realized, you know what, Roger, when I get home, I am going to fix my life, you know, because I left my family, and I can't do that because I love them so much. And my whole goal was that I wanted to be happy so that my family could be happy, right? But when I gave up like that, I basically deserted them, and I said, you know what? I was being selfish, right? So I was like, I can't. This is not the right way to think. This is not the right way to be. So when I get home, I need to change everything. I have to change the way, I have to start taking care of myself because I look like a mess, right? So I started eating better. I started to, take care of my personal hygiene. I just tried every single day, because I realized that, you know what, Roger, you, like, when you walked out on the most important thing in your life, right? So that's the miracle that happened. And so, yes, well, I'm not like the most religious person in the world, but I know that there is a God, and I know there's Jesus, and I know that there's heaven. So, oh wow, Joanne. What happened for Hannah? I think it's a shirt of positive power energy. Okay, life is beautiful, and life will be more beautiful by our good deeds and thoughts. I think it's a shirt of positive power energy. Which shirt are you talking about? Um, Farhana is super amazing. You will probably see her on every single post. And Shell, they've been on my page for a very, very long time, and I love them so much. Oh my gosh, my mom. I think that's my mom. It doesn't have her photo, but I think my mom is online. Hi, mom. How are you doing? My mom, guys. If you haven't heard about my mom, she is just the most incredible person I've ever met in the world. She, when I was going through that really difficult stage in my life, she showed me how strong she was, you know, and I wanted to be like that. Every single day she showed up in the morning. She didn't leave my house until she knew I was sound asleep. And even if I woke up in the middle of the night, like 3 a.m., I would call her, and then she would like, "I'm coming," and she'd come over. She didn't live that far away from me, but she'd come in her pajamas and everything, right, in her slippers, and she make sure that I was sound asleep before she could leave the house, and she's just showed she never gave up on me, no matter what. She would do whatever it took because she believed, right, that I could heal myself, right. You have a very precious family. Thank you so much, Joanne. Yes, they are. They're so precious, and I'm so blessed to have them. And I learned so much about life, and my mom taught me so much. And I talk to you guys a lot about her, right? So a lot of the qualities and characteristics that you see from me is from my mom, right? So if I will have her live one day, and you're going to be able to see, wow, I can see a lot of resemblance between you two, right? Because she taught me so much, like she went through a really, really tough time when she was a child, right? And that's where she found out her strength, right? So whenever something bad happened to my mom, she already knew that she can overcome the challenge. Like basically, even though she had tears, or she was worried or whatever, but I can tell that she never lost that strength within her, because she doesn't care. She just knows that I need to overcome this challenge, right? So thank you, mom, for bringing me up, for not giving up on me when I was going through that dark time, for raising Pat and Melina and my kids, your grandchildren, teaching them, how to love people, how to have compassion, and just being a kind person, and I think that's truly, truly important, because when you see kind people, it kind of rubs off on you too, right? And it also reminds you that, what, not everybody in the world is a bad person, right? There are a lot of people that are, maybe they have their own story, right? They're going through a really hard time in their life, but it doesn't mean that they're a bad person or they're not a kind person, right? So I love you, mom. And she's actually she's actually watching me on my live. She usually watches my live after the fact, like the day after, right? She'll wake up in the morning and then watch my live, but she's actually live here right now. So that's my mother, Ann Lee. God sent them to save you. Definitely, definitely. You're talking about my sister, right, and my brother-in-law during that time. I know for a fact that God sent them to tell me that, you know what, Roger, it's time for you to change your life. Like, it's time, like right now, like, and I always look back at that time when I slipped on that step, right? When I fell and I hit my head, that I was given that second chance at life, right? And I that's why I have to take advantage of every single day, and do as much as I can to help as many people as I can, because I promised myself, even during that time when I was healing myself, I told myself that if I were ever able to heal myself, that my mission is to help as many people as I can, and to try to and try to let them know that even if you're going through a really, really dark time in your life, that you can change it, you can make a difference in your life, right? But of course, I had to wait until I actually healed myself, so that I can prove to people that I used to be, I hit rock bottom, and I was able to climb over that mountain and become a better version of myself prior to my accident. Because when I was going through that dark time, I kept telling myself, I want to be my old self. I want to be the Roger I was before I fell and hit my head, right? I didn't realize that, hey, that was just a one version of Roger. There is a way better version of yourself. You just have to work to get to it, right? And that is my mindset every single day. Every single day, I want to become better than who I was yesterday, right? Joanne, I'm going through a dark time at the minute, and I'm trying to heal myself. You know what? I think the most important thing, Joanne, is that that you have this goal, right? You're working on yourself. You're trying to heal yourself, and that is so important, because when I was going through that time, I wasn't even thinking about that trying to heal myself part. I just accepted that I had anxiety. I accepted that I was depressed. I accepted that that I hit rock bottom, and I didn't want to do anything about it. And all I was doing was wishing that I was going to get better. Just wishing that one day I would wake up and everything would be back to normal, right? But wishing isn't going to do it, right? You're going to have to take those steps every single day. And I know, because you're thinking, I don't know when it's going to happen. It could be 5 to 10 years from now, right? But if you're working on yourself every single day, like you're doing right now, Joanne, I'm telling you, those little steps are eventually going to turn into bigger steps. And those bigger steps, and I say it a lot of times, that those bigger steps are going to turn into leaps. And then one day you're going to find yourself in the place, right, where you can say to yourself, thank God I didn't give up. And thank God that I looked at those little steps as still progress, right? Because some days, even though you're taking those little steps, it's not going to seem like you made any progress at all. And that is what's going to that might stop you from moving forward. But if you tell yourself that, hey, you know what, even though today might have felt the same way as yesterday, but I did take those little steps, I am still moving forward, even though it doesn't seem like I took a step. You know what I'm saying? And because the sum of every little step that you take will be the sum of will be equivalent, like the amount of all those little steps is going to become your success, right? So keep pushing, keep reminding yourself that you are going to get better and everything is going to be okay. Okay, Joanne, and I know you're going to get there. I know you're going to get there. Sai, you have a wonderful family and amazing mom. That's why you're awesome and great to help others with your co. Oh, thank you so much, Sai. That means so much to me. Yeah, my mom is incredible. I have to get her on the on my live. She's like, okay, so whenever you get me on live, make sure you tell me so that I can look good. But even if she doesn't wear any makeup, she still looks good. You know, my mom is very pretty. Mary Meeks, exactly. We'll call to love one another. Yes, exactly. Shell, sometimes it takes a breakdown to help us to get to a breakthrough. That is such a beautiful quote, Shell. That is absolutely so true. And that's what I went through, right? And some of you are probably going through that too, right? You're going through some sort of dark chapter in your life. And sometimes you're just not going to realize it that this is actually something that's going to help you, you know, later on, right? And it's like, it's just something that is just hard to imagine that things are going to get better because you're right now in the present moment you're in a situation where it doesn't feel that great, right? But again, wishing is just part of it. Taking action is like the majority of it, right? So if you're taking action every single day, just like I did, I was able to find my joy and happiness again, right? And before I even start, when I didn't have that mindset, like every single day, guys, I was like I was sleeping on a couch, and I would just wake up, and the first thing that hit me was my anxiety, and then right after that, I couldn't breathe, so I would basically shove my face in the pillow for like half an hour, just like breathing deeply, right? Because I was just like, oh my gosh, here goes another day. What's gonna happen next? I'm telling you, it felt like almost every day I hurt myself, right? It was like even when I went to my chiropractor, I like every time I went to see him, I would complain about something like, oh, I tripped on something and now my tongue feels numb. Or like I smacked my hand on the table and now I can't feel my fingertips, something like that. And when I walked into his office, he'd be like, okay, before I even sat down on the chair, he'd be like, okay, so Roger, what is it today? And he goes, and he's like, stop going on YouTube and watching the wrong stuff and he was so right? Because I was like, I think I have I had like these veins on my forehead, right? And they were very apparent. Like you could really, really see them. And I told him, I was like, I think I got this thing. And he's like, Roger, you don't have it. Okay, trust me. And I was like, no, I'm telling you, man, it's like permanent. It's permanent. And he's like, it's not, it's gonna go away. And I was like, okay. So that's what my mind was telling me. It was telling me like everything, that all my symptoms were gonna be permanent, that I was gonna have this for the rest of my life, you know. And the more I thought about that, like it was gonna be a permanent, the more I became more anxious, the more I became more depressed, right? But now that I look back at it, out of all the things that I was telling myself that was making me anxious and making me depressed, none of it came true, right? I was just creating this because that's what happens when you have anxiety. You become anxious, right? You just are unclear, right? And you start to create this world for yourself that you don't want to live in. So for Hana, you're amazing. Don't forget it. I know you say that to me all the time, and I'm so grateful for you for saying that to me all the time because it reminds me, right? Just like how I remind you guys, with my quotes and stuff, and my affirmations, and just try to keep you guys as positive as possible, so that when you wake up when you wake up, maybe the first thing you see is a quote that I wrote, that you look at it and it can give you that kickstart for the morning, so that you could tell yourself that I today could be a great day, right? Maybe yesterday wasn't the greatest day, right? But today is a fresh start. Today is a new page for my story. I can take this pen, which you should never give away because you have the control. You are the author of your story, right? So you always have to hold this pen, and you have to tell yourself that today is going to be a fresh day, and I'm gonna start doing these things to work on a better version of myself, right? And sometimes it's hard because you have to go to work and then you have to deal with all the things, that happen at work. And sometimes it's not, not every day is going to be a great day, right? But if you have if you're positive up here, then you're going to be able to at least have a little bit of control, right? And if you have a really strong mindset, you're going to have a lot of control of how you want your day, right? Tracy, this past year has been difficult for me after what I went through being in hospital with COVID. God saved me from dying. Oh wow, that's amazing. You're really truly blessed that you're able to. I know a lot of people were having such a really tough time during the pandemic, right? But I think you know what? I think it taught us a lot about life as well. And because a lot of us actually had a lot of time to spend for ourselves, right? We were at home, we were unsure about the future. And I think some of us realized that, I've been missing these moments for myself, right? You actually got a chance to actually think about yourself and what you can do to yourself to make things better. And that was kind of like me prior to the pandemic, because that was like what I was doing at home. I was just at home every single day and I had all that time to myself, right? And that's where I was able to learn about myself, um, starting from going through a very, very dark time, right? But in order for me to learn more about myself, I had to go through that. I had to go through that journey to discover what are the things that I feel that are making me angry. What are the things that I feel that are making me sad, right? And I was able to discover those things as I was going through that, and if I hadn't had gone through that journey, right, I wouldn't have been able to um come up with all these things on my quotes, right? All the stuff that I write is the things that I'm thinking up here in my mind, right? And that's why I think the series that I'm doing inside the mind of RLQ is very important, because some of you could be reading my quotes and you might be like, okay, well, I kind of get what he's saying, but I don't know how to use it in my life. What is he actually trying to teach me here, right? So that is why, like today with this quote, hopefully I was able to explain to you what that focus really means, and how if you actually can start thinking about what you really, really want in your life, right? How are you going to get there? How determined are you in getting there, right? Because the more you focus on that and you know what you want to head towards, then the faster, it's going to become your reality, right? Because you can see it. If you don't have a vision, you're basically walking blind, right? You don't know where to go. You're just constantly going to be in this fog, right? But if you create this vision of yourself, and hopefully it's going to be a positive one, right? Then then every single day, even before you go to sleep, you can close your eyes and you can visualize yourself smiling again, being happy, not having to worry about your future and stuff like that. Then when you wake up in the morning, you can start thinking about that vision again, right? Instead of wake up in the morning and saying, man, I have no idea what's going to happen in the future, right? So it's all about creating, guys. We are all creators. And your thoughts, like I say, is like kind of like as you're thinking, it's you writing a script, right? So if you want to have your happy ending or your happy chapters, you're going to have to start thinking positive, right? So that you are creating that script for yourself, and then you could publish it, and then the universe will accept it and it'll become your reality. Okay. Let me see what I got here. Sai, I went through that darkness too, but now I am brave enough to face and conquer all of my past. I found that courage to face my journey. Yeah, totally. Like I think the one thing that hurts a lot of us is the past, right? I have a lot of quotes about the past, and I used to do that too, right? You guys know that my brother and I had a very, very successful comic book publishing company, and we lost the business, right? We worked so hard. We started from the bottom and we became this really successful. We hit the top, but it collapsed, right? And we both, I know both me and my brother, we look back at it and we said, what did we do wrong? We could have done this, we should have done that, and all that stuff. And there was a moment in time after that, we just kept, we want to go back and try to refix things, but it's too late, right? And then we tell ourselves, what are we going to do in the future and all that kind of stuff, right? But I was tired of living that life. I was tired of living in the past. So I just said, you know what, Roger, that is just a chapter in your life, something that you had to experience, right? Because whatever you experience from that time, is going to help you in the future, right? Focus on today, right? So that you can work on a better future, right? So that's why I always go forward. I always, I have a destination. My destination isn't backwards, right? My destination is forwards, and that is the direction that you should be heading to, right? Because if you're spending your time too much thinking about the past, you're going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way, right? The better version of yourself does not lie behind you. It is ahead of you. It's in front of you. So remember that. And I talk about me on that bullet train going 200 miles per hour. That's what I sit on every single day. I'm just like moving forward, and all these, like, the negative thoughts are just kind of like, this bullet train is like going so fast that it's just pushing all the negative thoughts, because I really, really want to get there. I really want to, like, I hit my million, right? But that is a huge accomplishment for me. But after that million, there's so much more for me to experience, right? And to learn. And I just want to grow as much as I possibly can, right? And if you can incorporate that into your own mindset, then you can always look forward to your tomorrows, because you're going to be like, tomorrow I can't wait to start doing this. Tomorrow I can't wait to accomplish this, right? Because you constantly want to try to build your up here, right, to as positive as possible, and as strong as possible, right? Because life is always going to throw something at you, right? Where there, like I said, there's no perfect life, right? There is a happy life, but there is no such thing as a perfect life, because life is just, there's always going to be something in the way. But if you're going through a dark time right now, then just remember that after you overcome this, and you will, when you overcome this, man, you're going to be so much stronger, right? So when life is going to attack you again, or say, what, here is this, now how are you going to deal with it? Then you can actually tell yourself, I was surprised. I actually overcame the last challenge you threw at me. I think I can take this one too, right? Joanne, I think that's my problem, thinking of my past, and I'm sure a lot of us do that. And it's so hard, because and it depends on what happened to you in the past, right? It could be relationship, it could be something that you did that you wish you didn't do, right? And it's either kept in here, and it's kept up here, and it's going to give you these emotions that you save, right? And maybe you want to cry, or maybe you want to scream, or maybe you want to just do whatever, but you can't, or you haven't. And one of the problems that happened to me was that I'm a type of guy that when someone, yeah, like when I get into argument or whatever, I don't yell back, or whenever I'm sad, I don't cry. That's how I used to be, right? And so through the years, I was just collecting it, right? Until when I was going through my darkness, I let everything out. That's why I cried every single day. That's why I had my rage fits. That's why I was like yelling at the top of my lungs when I was running around my neighborhood. That was funny. Just running around my neighborhood like I didn't care, right? They were probably like, "Oh my gosh, who's this crazy guy?" But I was able to release all of that. And after I did, I felt like a new man. I was just like, so that's why I had to go through that, to release all that inner pain, right? So if you need to cry, cry. If you need to yell something out, lock yourself in a room and just let it out, like you pretend you're like at the top of the mountain, and you're just, releasing all of that stuff that you're holding in, right? That's your inner pain. We don't realize that it's there, right? And sometimes we wake up and we cry for no reason, and then we're just asking ourselves, I don't understand why that happened. It's because you're holding too much inside, and there's just so much that you can handle. There's so much that your mind can hold, and there's so much that your heart can hold. So you need to release it. Okay. So if you're thinking about crying today, and you're telling yourself, no, I can't cry, I think you should. I think you should, close the doors or whatever you need to do, and just cry on your bed before you go to sleep, and just release it. And when you wake up, you feel so much better, like in the morning, or even afterwards, after the cry, you'll feel so much better, right? Mary Meeks, I promise that it will get better. It might still hurt, but it will get her. So that's responding to Joanne, right? Joanne, I think that's my okay about the past, right? Sometimes God keeps us in a place so that we can grow and learn and become stronger. Definitely, and that's the place that went through. That's the place that I was. I'm not gonna say sent, because I'm just gonna say that God said to me that it's time for you to change it. Like you're going to go through this dark time, right? But hey, you're going to learn something very, very valuable. And not only that, are you going to teach yourself, but you're also going to use this to teach others as well, right? So I look at it as a blessing in disguise. I can now say that, right? But obviously, during that time when I was actually going through that really, really hard time, I was like, why me? I'm such a great person. I'm like the kindest person in the world. Like, I don't understand why I'm going through this. You know, what did I do to deserve this? How many of you actually ask yourself that, right? It's like, and you just have to accept that, sometimes it's just something that we need to learn, right? We definitely have to go through dark chapters in our life to really let us know that we're not weak, right? Because the stronger we feel, the stronger that we think we are, the more that we believe that we can accomplish more things in life, because you don't want to sit around and just do the same thing every single day for the next 50 years or whatever, right? You want to be able to, we get a certain amount of time for our life, and you want to try to do as much as you possibly can before you leave this planet, right? And some experiences aren't going to be the greatest, right? But it's still something that we should kind of cherish, right? Because these are the moments that we can look to ourselves and say, you know what, I know that it was really tough. I know that my heart might have been broken, or it took me to a place where I didn't like, but I have to kind of like go back into it and pick out what it is that what is the reason behind it. If you believe that everything happens for a reason, why did it happen to me, and what are the lessons that I learned from it, right? So that you can take those lessons, and then the next time it happens to you, you can remind yourself and say, hey, I know what to do now, right? And if you haven't learned your lesson that from that one time, it's going to happen to you again. It's going to happen to you over and over again until you've actually learned how to correct it, right? And that's what we all need to experience in our lifetime here, right? So if you kind of teach your mind that that is the reason why, it's going to help you. It's going to help you prepare yourself for when the next chapter comes, right? Um, and it's all these your life is like this big huge puzzle, right? And these are just the little pieces of puzzle pieces of your life that eventually you're going to connect them all together, and it's going to become this masterpiece, which is called your life story. For Hana, but we can't forget some past memory. Of course, we can't. That's why we do have memories, right? There's a reason why we remember these things, And I talk about, like, your happy moments, right? Like whenever you're sad or depressed or whatever the case may be, or you're down, you can always look back at those moments that you were happy, when those times you had fun, those times when you actually enjoyed life, right? And you could tell yourself that, hey, I've been there before. I was happy, right? Why am I telling myself that I can't be like that anymore, right? The future hasn't even happened yet. So don't even tell yourself that, because, anything can happen. Like tomorrow could be the day that you could smile. Tomorrow, next week could be the day that you're going to finally find out that, hey, you know what? Today is a great day, and I'm super happy. You don't know who you're gonna meet. It's just like that. There's so many things that can happen. Like 4 years ago, I didn't think that I was gonna be sitting here talking to people from all across the world and helping people at all. Like that wasn't even in my vision at all. I had no vision. I just kept telling myself that, my life was gonna be crap, and I was gonna cry every single day, right? But once I started to fix up here, everything changed. Everything changed. I started to believe in myself more, and understanding how to love yourself and what it truly means. How much it can affect your life when you start loving yourself, and that is the most important thing. After you get through the focus part, because that's the training part of it. But loving yourself is definitely the thing that you need to do, because that's just going to open an entire different world for you, because your perspective on life and your perspective about yourself is going to change entirely, like it did with mine. And I never thought that loving yourself could be that powerful, but it is. It's so powerful, right? Uh, Michelle says, "Hi, mom. If you're still watching, mom." I'm pretty sure my mom's still watching. She's just, I think she's trying to figure out how to type or what to say. David Hudson, will you be doing a live out and about and show us the Christmas decorations around where you're from? Hey, yeah, that's a great idea, David. I actually will. I probably will. I don't know if did you watch my vlog, David, on my birthday hot pot dinner? I did that. Yeah, I am definitely. I will definitely do the Christmas the tree, and I'll take you around. Where are you from, David? I actually love doing the vlogs. The vlogs are really fun. Even before like all the social media and stuff like that, my brother and I, when we were kids, we used to film everything, right? We would do little skits and plays, and we would do all that kind of stuff. So, me doing those vlogs is just something that I enjoy to do. And plus, it's also, I like to share, to you guys, who I am outside of Roger Lee quotes. Who is Roger Lee? What are the things that he actually does when he's not working, right? So, and I enjoy those moments too, because again, back then I didn't think I was ever going to be able to spend a happy Christmas or spend happy birthdays, and all those those, like even going to dim sum, or laughing during a dinner or something like that, right? But I can do that now, and I really hope that the content that I produce and that I share out to you can help you get to that level where you can where excuse me, where you can smile, where you can laugh, where you can feel that inner peace again, and then tell yourself that, hey, Roger was right. I can change my life, and I can, and every day I can become better, right? And it means, you don't know how much it means to me. Like every time I read something like that, when you guys say that, you changed my life or whatever, for everybody, it hits me right here in the heart. It truly does. So thank you so much again, guys. You guys are so amazing. Joanne, that's why your quotes get me through, and videos. It was amazingly watching your birthday vlog. Oh, thank you so much. It was very, very, very filling. You guys know oysters was my favorite, right? So, yeah. Did you watch my Halloween vlog, Joanne? When we walked into the forest, that was funny too. I know it was kind of dark, but yeah, I took my youngest son, and my wife was there. And we walked through this haunted forest. It was so fun. We waited for 2 hours, but I think the trail was only like 8 minutes long. But you know what? That 2 hour wait was so worth it, because it was 8 minutes of an amazing time with my family. So that's what I look at. You know, yeah, it was funny. Halloween, but yeah, my youngest son's friend was so funny. Some people just are just so funny. But yeah, yeah. So Christmas, I will do a vlog. I'll also do a live stream as well. So, does anyone have any questions about this quote? My quote here. If you guys haven't seen it, I'll show it to you. I printed it out at home, and I put it on a frame, and I will be doing these on my Etsy account, where you can actually download the print, and then you can print it at home yourself, and then you can frame it, and then you can just like hang it on your wall. You can put it in your washroom. You can print it out and put it on your fridge, um, and they're just great reminders, right? Like I was saying before, sometimes you just have to wake up and have something in front of your face, right? To remind you that today doesn't have to be a bad day. Today could be a wonderful and amazing day. And you can become the boss, right, of the day, and you could take control. Start taking control of your thoughts, right? Most importantly, um, and taking those steps, right? Every single day is to take those little steps. Um, and it doesn't seem like it sometimes. I know that for a fact, because like even for me, working on my page, taking those little steps, there's so many days where it just felt like I went nowhere. For a month, it just seemed like nothing grew, like nothing expanded. It just always felt like I was always getting 3 likes per day, right? And my channel was only at 100 followers, right? Every single day. Like it just seemed like I was just like, what am I doing? right? Why don't I just close shop now and just find something else to do, right? That is what was going in my head, right? Even though my mind was still like back then was still pretty strong, sometimes you just feel like giving up because you're just like, what's the point? Like I really put so much effort into doing this and I am not seeing any results, right? But again, if you continue to keep moving forward and you keep working on it and you continue taking those steps, man, you're gonna get there. You are going to get there. Tracy, self-love is important. It definitely is. It is. Oh, you're from England, UK, David. Never been there, but I've got to visit. I've got to visit England. How is the weather there? Is it what season is there actually? Because you guys know it's winter here in Toronto. Anyone that's living in Canada knows that it's starting to get pretty cold. That's why you're going to see a lot of my lives not in my car. You're going to see them indoors because like when I'm in my car, it's like unless I turn the heat on, it's going to be warm. But it's not going to. I prefer to actually be here. Actually, I forgot to make my coffee. It'd be nice if I had my coffee and drink it while I'm talking to you guys and stuff like that. Weather's wet in UK. It's winter. Are you in the UK too, Joanne? Which part of UK are you in? Oh, but it's warm there, right? You guys, it's pretty warm there, right? It's not like I think it was -4 or -3 today. So, Connie, please don't ever stop. You're helping so many who feel lost and so alone. I definitely won't, Connie. Um, my mission is going to try to help as many people as I possibly can. Try to inspire, motivate to all those people, because I know the reason why I do what I do, right, guys, is because um, I know because before I had my concussion, I never experienced anxiety. I never experienced being like extremely depressed. Right, I've been sad before. Right, I think I've been kind of mildly depressed. Like when I broke up with when my girlfriend back in the day told me that she didn't love me anymore. That ruined me like for 8 months. But I didn't go depressed. Right, but being able to feel what it's like to hate yourself, to be at a level where you just don't feel like you want to move on anymore, that kind of dark feeling. And as I was lying there feeling that way, I was just saying, there must be millions of people feeling this way too, right? So if I am able to heal, if I'm going to heal myself, and if I do completely heal myself, and I am going to definitely share my story and I can tell them that, you know what, you are in a very, very, very dark place right now, but you know what, you don't have to stay there forever. That's what I want. That's my message. That just because it feels like you're going to be in this darkness forever, you're not going to be, right? Because everything one day is going to be okay. And also, of course, there are steps in order for you to get there, right? Like loving yourself, the focus part of it, taking those little steps every single day, and being able to be patient, right? And these days it's hard, right? To be patient. Everything we want has to be like when we order something online, it has to arrive today or tomorrow. When we order a pizza, it's got to be arrived in 15 minutes. Like everything, we just want everything so fast. That doesn't really help us with teaching us how to be patient, right? So I think patience is one of the hardest things to learn, especially nowadays, right? So the longer it is, the more you're going to learn about patience, right? Because one day when it does happen, you're like, patience is the key to success. If you're able to come out of this darkness and you're going to learn about patience, right? You can probably become successful in anything because you're like, damn, like it took me like 3-4 years to get through that darkness, but I made it, I've overcome it. And then just say you decide, oh, you know what, I want to start doing this new thing because I think it's a passion of mine. You're going to have that within you. You're going to be like, as long as I work hard every single day and I'm patient about it, I know I'm going to be successful, because I can see it. I just believe in myself so much that, I'm going to be successful. Right. So that is teaching you something, right? Like all our chapters in our life is going to teach us something. Definitely. Definitely. And sometimes you're going to look back at all of those chapters. You can do that today, right before you go to bed, and just kind of look back at everything that you've been through so far. Just try to connect the pieces and see if it makes any sense, right? Maybe it might not make some sense now, and you could try that exercise next year because every single day you're going to experience something different, right? You're going to start seeing that like everything is going to make sense, right? I even look back at the time when I met my wife, right? She was working at this cafe across the street of the cafe that we usually go to, right? And the only reason why I went to the cafe across the street where she was working was because we weren't happy with we weren't satisfied with the service there anymore. So we're like, we need to go to another cafe. Let's try the one that is across the street. And it led me to meeting my wife. So it's weird. Like some of these things, you just have to look back and say, wow, I actually had these weird instances where it's kind of like magical, right? Magical things happen, man, like in our lives. They do. Let's see. I'm sorry I missed some chat. Joanne, my boyfriend passed away 8 years ago, which I found hard, but I found forward and focused on my kids, and I got it through each day. I took small steps, but I'm fine. No, that's amazing, Joanne. And 8 years is that my father passed away 12 years ago, around there, and yes, those times are the hardest, right? But you just have to always remind yourself. And I know this. My mom went through a really tough time, right, when my father passed away, but she was able to get through it. It was tough seeing her to be in that state. Like crying every single day, but it helps. It makes you become stronger, and that's what you're exactly doing, Joanne. So you should be proud of yourself for how far you've actually come. Right? You definitely should need to be proud of yourself. Yes, I believe in magic too. That's great. I'm telling you, man. I did a quote the other day about magic, right? Magic happens, especially when you start believing in yourself. You're gonna see amazing things happen. I'm telling you, man. Magic exists. I'm not talking about like magic tricks and stuff. I'm talking about universal magic. Miracles, stuff like that. Like for instance, when I hit 1 million followers on my birthday, on the exact day of my birthday, I hit 1 million. That is magical. That is just something that I never expected. And I thank God so much for that. I thank you for helping me make that happen. You guys are so extremely amazing. I am laughing about Roger and the weather. Which part, Tracy? Which part? You're talking about the cold winters that we have here in Toronto. It's horrible. No, I'm just kidding. Every day is a great day. I don't really let the weather affect me. You guys know, right? Like, even though it's cold, but you're gonna see me more here indoors. And I hope you guys. Do you guys prefer me to do my lives indoors or outdoors? You're probably like, oh man, here's Roger again with his sunglasses. Oh, he's in the car again. So Farhana, I am right there with you. So I think I'm gonna let you guys go. I know it's late. It's almost 11 p.m. here in Toronto. The next time I do a live, I'm gonna do it earlier. Today I just kind of woke up at like 5 p.m. So I was just like, I have to get this done. So I did. And if you guys like the live, the Inside the Mind of RLQ, the live version of it, maybe I'll do more. Maybe I'll have Inside the Mind of RLQ episode number 5, a special live as well. And if that does well, I can just continue doing Inside the Mind of RLQ actually live, because that way I can talk about my quotes. You can ask me questions about the quotes if you still don't really understand the meaning behind it from where it's coming from here onto the words when I write it. So I think it's a great opportunity, right, for us to connect and stuff like that. So yes, instant gratification. We need to get over that. Yes, David, talking about magic. I used to live in a place where Harry Potter was made. That's awesome. Oh, you know what? I actually still have to finish the Harry Potter series. I know, right? You're probably like, "Oh my gosh, Arch, I can't believe you didn't watch the whole Harry Potter thing." But I think I finished up to episode 3. I mean, sorry, the third movie. But I think that's one of the things I'm going to do this weekend is finish the Harry Potter. Thanks for reminding me, David, about Harry Potter. But Sai, I love the live. Thanks a lot. You're very, very welcome, Sai. So thank you everyone for joining my live. And remember, you guys have the whole weekend. Don't forget to take care of yourself. Try to love yourself as much as possible. And try doing something new. Sometimes you just have to try those new things. And it could even be a new food, just something that you're not used to doing, right? Because you have to introduce these new things into your life so that you can, try to figure out whether it's something that you actually love to do and that you can pursue it, and maybe it could be something that has something to do with your passion if you're still searching for it, right? So if if you're working, when you get off of work, when you go home, make sure to spend at least 10 to 15 minutes of your time on yourself, right? Just it could be anything that could be positive, that could help you, work up here so that tomorrow you could think about it again, because you have to create this momentum thing, right? It's like a ripple effect thing, like the domino effect, right? You got to start somewhere positive so that you can, so that you could start moving it, so that the positivity can carry forward, right? So it's so important. Marrying mix, yes, that's a good thing to do. You'll find out from where you was to where you are now, and now that you have grown and are in a better place. Exactly, exactly. Maria, thanks for sharing your experience and for your sound advice. I really learned a lot. You're very, very welcome, Maria. You're very welcome. That's why I love doing these lives. And I know that the YouTube lives are much easier for me to communicate with you, because if you do have a question, I can respond to you right away. Because when I do my Facebook Live, it's really hard to catch some of I miss so many chats. So and I feel so bad because when I go back to my Facebook chats and I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, they said that, and I feel so bad that I wasn't able to respond. So at least here on YouTube, it's a little bit more calm, right? You guys experience my Facebook Lives compared to this. It's a lot more like, oh, Roger can see my chat and he can actually reply to me and stuff like that. So I would prefer in the car live. For Hana, you actually like me in the car? Okay, if it's not too cold, I will go back in my car. But I'm definitely gonna do it between both. Like depending, right? So, but I think it's at the lives indoor is great as well. And I don't know. I'm thinking about the snow right now, and I'm thinking about my coffee, and I can't wait to have my coffee after this. Good night, everybody. Good night, Joanne, Farhana, Sai, Maria, David, and everyone else that joined. I don't know if you're still here, but I will catch you next live. It is the weekend, but I still work. I do. So after this, I'm going to work on my next quote. And I will definitely see you on my next video too, as well. So have a great. Oh, Connie. Good night, Connie. Good night, Connie. Tracy. Yeah, the cold. Don't remind me, Tracy. It's too cold. It's too cold. Sending love, lights, and peace, joy, and happiness on your way, Roger. That's from Farhana. And I'm sending it back to you guys. I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining my live again. And I am going to catch you next live, and I will reply to you on my comments. And if you need to message me, you can message me anytime. I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And remember, guys, your mind matters. All right. Take care of yourself and love yourself always. So I will see you next live. Take care. Bye, guys. Sorry. Bye, guys.